Do we have a problem? Approximately 20% of inmates in prisons and 15% of inmates in jails have psychological disorders or mental illnesses. That's about 383,000 people in prisons that are not getting the care that they need. Inmates don't get the care that they need in their environment, their socialization, the rules and structure in prison, or someone to make sure they're taking their meds, or check up on their disorders and how they're feeling. These inmates often face a higher rate of recidivism and extended prison sentences because they get into disputes with other prisoners or guards or cannot follow the rules of prison like is expected of them. They sometimes get sent to outside treatment facilities to better take care of their psychological disorders when it gets to be too bad for the prisons to take care of them. But they only stay at these outside facilities for about a week, and when they start to feel better, they get sent back to prison, where they often relapse. So no treatment is permanent. In my opinion, it is against how we treat children with psychological disorders. In schools, we often craft them a new environment for them to learn in, one where they can work at their own pace in a way that works for them. But we expect adults to not need new environments crafted for them when they have mental illnesses or psychological disorders. They're expected to function in the same environment as other people, as people without psychological disorders, such as prisons. The rules and structures are built for prisoners and inmates without psychological disorders, and there was not a second thought about putting inmates with these disorders and illnesses in there. No concern about them not being able to follow the structures the same way. They should, in fact, have their own place to serve out their sentence, one made for their needs. An alternative would be to create new institutions, new treatment facilities that function as a place for these inmates to serve out their prison terms, not taking away the terms or lessening the fact that they're serving time for a crime they committed, but giving them a place to serve their terms safely for their mental health and giving them mental care that they need to hopefully prevent recidivism and give them structures that their brains can follow, as well as socialization among them and their peers. Decreased socialization can lead to higher mental illnesses or increase the depths of their problems. This would help to keep them as mentally healthy as possible and lower recidivism and the chance of extended sentences. The increase of recidivism and extended sentences in these inmates also puts a burden on the prison systems further because it increases the cost. These costs were not originally factored in when these inmates were sentenced to prison because they had a fixed term, but them coming back or having extended sentences costs more money. It's not free. There's also an overpopulation in prisons, so them coming back to prison or staying in prison increases the burden on prisons further. The costs. Ordinarily, this would appear to be something I'm proposing that would cost taxpayers a lot more money to help pay for this in the government. But I'm proposing that we already use hidden costs we pay. Meds and personnel that are required to take care of these inmates in prison are already more expensive. Prisons already see all these costs and fees. They already pay more out of pocket for these. It costs about $80 daily for a prisoner without a mental illness, but it costs about $130 for someone that is mentally ill and to be housed in prison. That money saved in prisons for these inmates going to outside treatment facilities that are not prisons and serving their sentence there That money saved can go to these new facilities to pay for the new housing, the food, the meds, the workers needed, the necessities, toilet paper, clothes, bedding. If it does not cover all of the costs, it will cover most. I'm also not proposing that we pay a big money out of pocket to build new buildings for these facilities. We can repurpose buildings that are vacant or unused. We can fix them up or remodel them to accommodate these new needs. This is something that needs to be addressed because not only is it unhealthy for these prisoners with mental illnesses to be in prisons, but it's unhealthy for the other prisoners as well. All the overcrowding and overpopulation in the prisons puts a strain on the prisoners and the guards. By taking out these prisoners with mental illnesses and psychological disorders, the other prisoners will feel the ease on the resources of the prison. They should get better attention from the guards, and the guards should feel less overworked and be able to keep an eye on all the prisoners. It's a little bit easier. In essence, prisoners with mental disorders need better care than what they're getting in prison. There needs to be a restructuring of prison and a redistribution of funds that's more effective. Prisoners should not be facing extensions and recidivism because of their psychological disorders that they're not getting help for. They should be treated like the other prisoners. And that may need being put in a different facility. They do cost more for prisons to house, so changing facilities for them will be an ease of the burden on prisons, financially and physically. And it will help the prisoners to serve their terms in the same mental capacity as the other prisoners without mental illnesses.